What's up guys, it's the Actual Justice Warrior here, and today we're going to talk about bad parenting. A lot. Alright, so first things first, I was actually on No Bullshit's 100k stream the other day. We covered a bunch of different topics while celebrating his 100,000 subscriber mark, and I'll leave the link in the description if you guys want to check that out. Honestly, he's a really cool dude. He reached out to me during the whole vegan debate thing. We did a collab together on Flat Earthers, and when he hit 100k, instead of making it all about him, he invited me, a much smaller channel, on to join in on the festivities. So yeah, he's been a really good friend to this channel, and if you like my kind of content, or my kind of topics, but a more comedic spin, definitely check him out. You think that's enough to get the money?
Good.
Alright, so there's been a lot of stories in the past couple of weeks about bad parenting, and specifically terrible SJW parenting. To give you a quick recap, Arielle Scarcella, Arielle Scarcella. Fucking this person put out a video about the youngest transgender kid, but instead of being the cute fun video that she was expecting it to be, it was basically a case study in abuse. You see, the parent of this child, who is no more than like 5 years old, was transgender. And just by a matter of coincidence, this 0.3% of the population just happened to have a child that was also transgender. Now, normally I'd be saying, what are the odds of that? That's an amazing coincidence. But this video turned out to clearly be an SJW transgender parent forcing their child into being transgender.
You are a transgender boy, you know what that means?
So you were born a girl, but you feel like a boy, right? That kind of means you're transgender. Okay? And that's okay, but that's just the term for it.
As you can see, the mom or the dad or the Z is clearly putting words in this child's mouth.
Do you like doing quiet girly activities, or do you like jumping around and being crazy and tackling everybody? Boy activity.
This kid's not old enough to know whether or not it's okay to eat paste. And somehow we're supposed to accept that they're capable of deciding that they are the opposite gender of which they are born. It's ridiculous, it's insane, and even somebody like me who has disdain for children can't support this. And for those of you who are SJWs who are like, oh, well, gender's a social construct and there's no harm in doing this to a 5-year-old. Look, I'm not sure what the right age is to let your kid transition, but when the risk is this high and the benefits are so low, it can't be fucking 5 years old. It can't be 10 years old. It has to at least be in the teenage years. Next up on our list of bad parenting examples is the watch cut controversy. Now, I'm not going to stay on this for too long. It was covered by like everybody on YouTube. Also, I talked about it in the 100k stream on No Bullshit's channel. So check that out. That's the second plug, by the way. But there are 3 things that I want to point out. 1, all the children look absolutely miserable to be there.
Stimulates your body, and it makes you feel good.
2, notice how they censored the dildo in the video for the audience?
No!
This was done presumably because there are members of their audience that are too young to see that. But they brought it in a room with children and they're letting them play with it. And the third thing is that while it's creepy enough that they were teaching their children to masturbate on YouTube for money, using sex toys that they felt the need to censor from their young audience, it's actually worse than that. You see, it's one thing to talk to your own kid in a private scenario and tell them how their body works so that they don't hurt themselves or they don't feel ashamed of it. I'm all in favor of that stupid shit. But it's another thing entirely to teach a prepubescent boy how to get a woman off and prepubescent girls how to get a man off. Like, they weren't only teaching these kids how to masturbate, they were teaching these kids how to sexually please other people.
Usually just rub themselves like this. You see this little tiny hole in here?
That's fucking weird and incredibly creepy. And WatchCut deserves all the hate that they get from this. Absolute garbage from a BuzzFeed wannabe garbage channel. Now, you might think it can't possibly get any worse than that. Well, what I'm about to bring you is the creme de la creme of bad stories I saw this month. Yes, a parent forcing their kid to be transgender and parents teaching their kids how to do sexual favors for other people were just the appetizers. The main course is this fucking article. I'm done pretending men are safe. Parentheses, even my sons. Do I even need to go on? I'm going to, but do I even need to go on? Jody, Allard, pictured here, unsurprisingly, is a feminist blogger. And she actually decided to write, or more accurately, rewrite an article that she previously wrote about how she's worried about her sons because her sons, like all men, are potential rapists. I'm not playing. This is the real world. These people are allowed to be parents. I mean, think about it. This woman is so filled with hatred, pure, unfiltered hatred for men, that even her own offspring, her own children, who have been indoctrinated by her since birth, are not good enough because white supremacist, capitalist, intersectional, hierarchical patriarchy. Just think about that. I have 2 sons. They are strong and compassionate. The kind of boys other parents are glad to meet when their daughters bring them home for dinner. They are good boys, in the ways that boys are, but they are not safe boys. I'm starting to believe there's no such thing. Oh, you expect me to say something? I'm just going to read a little more. When I wrote an essay in the Washington Post last year, during the height of the Brock Turner case about my sons and rape culture, I didn't think it would be controversial when I wrote it. I was sure that most parents grappled with raising sons in the midst of rape culture.
Yes, that's about mother.
Okay, so far we have unfiltered hatred for her sons because they're male. And we have delusional. Most parents don't actually believe that their children are inherently evil and that they are inherently rapists. I'm not sorry to break it to you, feminists, but nobody thinks that you're fucking sane when you bring up these points. It's absolutely ridiculous. And the fact that she thought there would be no controversy when referring to her children as potential rapists is insane. I'm surprised that there wasn't a CPS investigation. This woman is obviously unbalanced and disconnected from reality. My essay went semi-viral, and for the first time, my sons encountered my words about them on their friends' phones, their teachers' computers, and even overheard them being discussed by strangers on a crowded metro bus. It was one thing to agree to be written about in relative obscurity, and quite another thing to have my words intrude on their daily lives. One of the sons was hurt by my words, although he's never told me so. He doesn't understand why I lumped him and his brother together in my essay. He sees himself as the good one, the one who's sensitive and thoughtful, and who listens instead of reacts. He doesn't understand that even quiet misogyny is misogyny, and that not all sexists sound like Twitter trolls. Seriously, you male feminists really need to think about this. This kid was raised to be a feminist. He embraced the feminist ideals to please his mother. He adopted her values wholly, and it's still not good enough. He's kind and he's sensitive, but that's considered quiet misogyny, and he's just like the sexist that you'll find on Twitter. This is unfucking believable. I'm dumbfounded by this. He is angry at me now, although he won't admit that either. His anger led him to conservative websites and YouTube channels, places where he can surround himself with righteous indignation against feminists, and tell himself it's ungrateful women like me who are the problem. Let's think about this. He does everything right. He's the kind of kid that other parents are happy to meet when their daughters bring them home, and his mother writes 2 articles about him and his brother not being safe, about them being potential rapists, because being a rapist is innate in all men's character. And you're confused by this person seeking out validation in other places. And kid, if you happen to discover this video, I don't know how old you are or anything like that, but you're not a potential rapist. I'm sure you're a more than decent kid. Nobody gets to choose their parents, and I know you love their mother, but don't adopt her ideology. Don't internalize these messages, because they're wrong and it's abusive. And look, you might be saying that this story might not be as bad as the other ones, but I assure you that it is. I actually read through Jody Allard's other articles, and she talks about her family all the time. She actually talks about her sons and how one of them was suicidal. And you know what? Wanting your kid to be trans so they can get victim points, or botching the sex talk with them, is one thing. But for somebody to repeatedly tell their kid that they are innately evil, they are innately inferior, there's innately something wrong with them, they are a bad person, women should never feel safe around them. When you know that that kid has struggled with depression, and that kid has been borderline suicidal in the past, is a whole fucking other level. You know what this stupid ass feminist did when she found out her kid was suicidal? She didn't apologize for ringing him out consistently in public. She sat down and watched 13 Reasons Why with him. You know, because she figured he needed to connect with something in the media, rather than hearing from his own mother that he's not a piece of shit and he's not innately evil. These fucking radical feminists are crazy. And they're also basically children. They never grew out of the girls rule, boys drool phase of their life, and they think that fiction is the solution to all of their problems. It seems like more and more feminism is about infantilizing women rather than empowering them. And this woman is a textbook example of it. And you know what? It's not okay. I'm of the belief that when you have a child, it's time for you to grow the fuck up and be a parent. This woman should not be a fucking parent. Her kids need to be raised by somebody who will actually care about them. Anyway, that's all I really have for you guys today. Let me know what you think about bad SJW parenting in the comments. Also, I'm gonna start live streaming on my channel and I'm already lining up guests. I actually have somebody from the TYT network coming on. So that should be a fun conversation, a fun little debate for you guys. And Game of Thrones is coming back on Sunday, so I'm probably going to start reviewing that. So I got a lot of stuff coming up for you guys. If you want to support me and support what I do have a PayPal link in the description. If you like this video, then please show me by leaving a like. If you want to see more content, then subscribe. Follow me on all my social medias. This has been the Actual Justice Warrior. Till next time.